Good afternoon and welcome. We're going to give it a moment here to see if anybody's going to join us. If you're watching this as a recording, do feel free to skip forward a little bit to where we get started with the recipe. So today we're making No-Churn ice cream bars. We made these a few weeks ago. We did some peanut butter date ones. So if you want some more information or some other recipe ideas on that, you can go back a few videos and we did those bars and we dip those in chocolate. So for today's bars, we're going to be focusing on more simplicity. So I've been trying to simplify recipes recently and keeping things as few ingredients and processes as possible, especially during the summertime when you kind of just want to make something, go out, etc. So in this bowl here, I have the Greek yogurt that we're using. An important point here that I've been noticing recently with these is do make sure that you drain off the excess liquid. Like any kind of yogurt, whether it's dairy or non-dairy, is going to have some water that starts leaking to the surface as it sits in the container. So every time you open the container, just drain that off before you use it. Otherwise, you get kind of water crystals in the ice cream bars, which is not what we want. That's the whole point here, is to use a high-fat yogurt or a high-protein yogurt, basically a strained yogurt, something that has a very a reduced water content or liquid content, because that's the liquid in there that's going to give it an icicle feel to it, which makes it feel less creamy and more watery. So if you want to take it a step further, you could use something like a low-fat yogurt or whatever it is that you want. And if it's quite watery, you could put it into a sieve, a fine sieve, lined with cheesecloth or paper towels, and kind of fold it over, put a plate on top, put a weight on top, have it over a bowl, and you can drain some of that water off. And that's going to give you an even richer, more creamier mouthfeel in the ice cream bars. So we've got the Greek yogurt here, and I'm using coconut sugar as the sweetener today, which you might see. This is from a company called Real Food Source here in the UK. It's good to get your ingredients from bulk places. In the US, I'm not as familiar with them, but in the UK, you can get really good bulk ingredients like nuts and seeds and coconut, like different types of sweeteners and stuff, and you get it at a much better price than you would get it for example, a supermarket. So we're going to use coconut sugar, and it's a good lesson in coconut sugar here because, or any kind of granulated sweetener. Granulated sweeteners don't dissolve into fat. So if this was oil, the sweetener wouldn't dissolve. It would just remain gritty, which tends to be a question get a lot in classes about when people are making chocolate, why when they make the chocolate and they use coconut sugar, the coconut sugar doesn't melt. And coconut sugar or any granulated sweetener is water soluble, not fat soluble. So if you put it into, for example, peanut butter, you mix it through, you're going to get a gritty texture because it doesn't dissolve into fat, and there's no liquid in there for it to dissolve into. Now, if you added in a bit of maple syrup to the peanut butter and then you added coconut sugar, there is a liquid in there for it to dissolve against, and it will dissolve against the maple syrup. So it'll take a little bit of time for this to dissolve into a liquid, maybe a few minutes, but you'll see it, the granules. I mean, it's a very clear sign when it comes to the yogurt because you can see specks, almost like it's mustard in there, but they are starting to dissolve. It's much less than it was when we first started off. So from here, if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of sea salt. You could add some vanilla. I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla to this. Vanilla extract of any kind that you want to use. You could add in spices. Dried fruits are nice because they stay nice and kind of chewy. And that granulated sweetener is now almost completely dissolved. And you could, of course, use maple syrup, honey, agave, normal sugar, whatever it is that you want to use here, you could use that. So that's it, like that. So this is the base of our ice cream. And you could just make some, because coconut sugar and maple syrup, they both have their own caramelly tones to them. They have their own flavor profiles. You could just make ice cream bars from that. You could add a little bit of nut butter to it, which improves the consistency and texture because you're adding fat. And you could just do plain bars like that. But last week we made this beautiful chocolate syrup, and I've been really enjoying making these chocolate swirl bars. Next week, or actually it's 2 weeks from now, we're going to be doing some raspberry chocolate swirl bars, and we're going to next week go over how to make raspberry jam and raspberry sauce. These are all just great staples to have in your house for things like making ice cream bars for the kids over the summer. For example, it takes 2 minutes. You don't need any fancy equipment. Fantastic. Same with the raspberry jam. Instead of buying it yourself, you go out and pick some fruit, you make some jam with the kids, or by yourself, whatever the case, put it in the freezer and you've got beautiful jam year round. So we've got the chocolate syrup here, and the consistency on this is very runny, like this. And all you're going to do is just drizzle it over the surface. You can do as much or as little as you want. And this doesn't freeze solid, so you're going to end up with this, like, it's not gooey, but it's very soft from the freezer. We've got our popsicle sticks here, and I'm using a Silicone Art ice cream bar mold that is blown out in the whites of the light. But if I hold it like that, you can kind of see it a bit better. And you can use any kind of ice cream bar mold that you want. You could also just line a tray with greaseproof paper and just dollop onto the tray and then stick a thing into it. If you don't have one of these, just do it onto the tray, freeze them, and then you can just eat them like that. With this recipe, I've opted not to do a chocolate coating. You can, but I found that the chocolate coating, and then you just pour it directly into the mold. I found that the chocolate coating just kind of like, you don't get the flavor of this. All you get is chocolate coating because it's such a strong flavor. And then I'm just going to drizzle a little bit more syrup and get the rest of this into the other mold cavity. Go. And for this one, I'm going to do a little bit in the back because we've got some extra space here in the mold. Might do it on this one too, actually. Because chocolate syrup is chocolate syrup. I mean, come on. Okay. And then these are like not popsicle sticks, but I ran out of my popsicle sticks, and these work quite well. These are like when you get ice cream out of like a little cardboard container and you eat it. I got these as tasting sticks for something I was selling locally here, but it works really well for the ice cream bars. And that's it. So like I was saying, yeah, I don't do the chocolate coating on these. I did the first time because I thought it was going to be like epic, but it's a little bit, the chocolate coating is too overpowering for the filling. And I think the filling itself and the bars themselves are just really nice on their own. They don't need a chocolate coating. But if it was like a plain bar, then a chocolate coating would be really nice on it. Or if it was like a nutty bar, it would be really nice. But for this particular one, you kind of drown out the flavor of the chocolate on the inside when you do a chocolate shell, which is quite intense. So these just get frozen. And then when you take them out, you have these beautiful marbled ice cream bars. Put this here for a second. This one's a little bit less marbled, but when you get through it, a bit of chocolate on the front there, marbling through. This one's a bit more chocolatey. There you go. Those are our ice cream bars. So store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator because they do tend to, obviously get freezer burn if you don't have them in a container. And then they keep for several weeks. I mean, at least several weeks, airtight container in the freezer. So those are the bars for today. And like I said, next week we're going to be doing raspberry jam and sauce. So we're going to make a raspberry jam using unrefined sweeteners. And then we're going to take it down to the level of sauce, kind of jam/sauce. And then we'll sieve it to make it into sauce. And then that can be used for different things as well as making these as a raspberry chocolate swirl ice cream bar as well. So other fantastic free recipes coming up, viral cookie dough bar coming up, the original version, and then a version I created, which is a chocolate cherry cookie dough bark, and other things coming up. So if there's anything that you'd like to see, anything you want to learn, anything that you're seeing go viral online and you think, that'd be cool to make, but I don't know if I really want to, or you find yourself not doing it, but you kind of want to, then just send it to me and I'm happy to test it for you, see what it's like. And then maybe I do it as a class if it's good. But I can certainly offer feedback either way on the experience. So thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Very simple. If you do like what you see, subscribe to the channel and you will get updates for future free classes. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you next time.